Blessings everyone, this is Chris Kendall from therawadvantage.com, registered holistic nutritionist, raw food lifestyle coach, and raw chef. Today I have a video in defense of iceberg lettuce. Why? Because I think you've probably just really heard about the tip of the iceberg. Let's get into it.
Baby, I like it raw. Raw Advantage likes it raw. Ooh, baby, I like it raw. Yeah, baby, I like it raw. Hey.
Iceberg, straight ahead! Oh, there it is. Okay, enough of the puns. I'll just get right into the video. I'm doing this in defense of iceberg lettuce video because I've heard a lot of people basically say, like, why are you eating iceberg lettuce? Isn't it just a waste? Isn't there like basically no nutrition in there? People talk crap about celery too. Come on guys, these are incredibly nutrient dense greens or foods that are amazing for us and delicious. You know, we've all been hyped up on things like kale, which, hey, I ain't bashing kale, I like kale. When I'm in Costa Rica and I can get it really nice and fresh. When I go to the grocery stores out here, typically kale's kind of cardboard and not that tasty, and kind of you gotta squeeze lime on it and massage it and convince yourself that it's great because it's super nutritious, you know, and that's good. You know, whatever green you like the most is the best green for you. But I think a lot of people, they sidestep iceberg because they think that it's not good enough for them, and I want to dispel that myth. I love iceberg. There's many delicious ways you can use it, from just chopping it up into a very classic salad, to cutting it into wedges and making a wedge salad, to taking the leaves off and using it for burgers or for wraps, or as the base of a smoothie, like my recent video, one of my favorite smoothies, my favorite green smoothie that isn't green. You can check that out, links below. But this green is incredibly versatile. It's really rich in water, which is great. It's really, really easily digestible, really palatable. It's easy to eat a lot and really enjoy it. So, you know, let's go into some of the facts though, right? I can talk about how much I love iceberg and that you should really eat it, but let's really get down to the brass tacks. So when you compare iceberg lettuce to other greens, calorie per calorie, because that's the way you really want to do it. You know, noting that greens, calorie per calorie, are the most nutritious foods on the planet. Let's really look into it. Let's crunch the numbers and see what it looks like. So to get 100 calories of greens, which that's what I put in there as pretty much the base minimum of what I usually eat on an average day. And if I'm not eating greens, I'm eating probably about double that in other vegetables for lots of nutrient density. But if we're looking at about 100 calories of greens per day, for iceberg lettuce, that looks like about 711 grams. Now, remember, that's a lot of water, and we're looking for high quality water. If you're eating organic iceberg, you're getting a lot of high quality water. And that's one benefit of iceberg lettuce, is that it's generally available year round. Per weight, it's actually pretty darn inexpensive. Like this organic one here was about $4.99, and that's, you know, over 1.5 pounds of greens. And it's delicious, nutritious, and easy to digest, as I mentioned. So looking at that compared to romaine lettuce. So this is actually 720 grams, so just over that 100 calories. If we're looking at 100 calories of romaine lettuce, we're looking at about this much. This is actually just over. You're looking at 585 grams of romaine lettuce to get 100 calories, and this is actually 600 grams. So pretty much the same, you know? This is gonna be a little bit more expensive, pretty similar. I love both. I'm not in any way trying to say avoid other greens. I'm just putting out defense of this, and it's a great green. Now let's really look into the nutrition. When we're looking at the nutrients you need, the whole range of nutrients you need in your diet, rather than just one individual nutrient, this much iceberg lettuce, for me, on my average day, supplies me 18% of my total nutrient needs. Now you can compare that to the romaine lettuce, which supplies 24% of your total nutrient needs. Now you might go into individual nutrients and go, well, vitamin A, you know, you can get like 10 times the vitamin A from romaine lettuce. Oh, well, this is garbage then. Well, how much is in here? You know, with this amount, this serving size for me, a big salad, I get over 100% of my vitamin A needs met. Whereas this, I'm getting 10 times, and I'm peeing it out. I don't need that much, you know, more isn't better. We're looking for appropriate amounts, that Goldilocks nutrition, enough nutrition. So that's just comparing these two. Now, what about if we compare this to kale? Well, for kale, we're looking at about 285 grams. Now, this one here is 312, so this is just a little bit more, but comparing here the volume, Iceberg's pretty darn dense, right? It's wrapped really tight and it's lots of water, so it's a little bit more heavy and really juicy, whereas kale, again, is a little bit more hard and dry, and you really got to chew it a lot more. And some people really love it when it's fresh and good. It's amazing. I really like it, but it's really looked at as nutrient per gram rather than nutrient per calorie. And I think it's much more important to be looking at nutrient per calorie. So we're comparing these two here, and this kale, that much kale compared to this, supplies 32% of your nutrient needs. So it's a little less than double, right? Which you might then say again, well, geez, that's way more nutrient dense. You should be going for that instead of this. Variety is the spice of life. And I encourage you to eat all of them and to embrace iceberg lettuce because it's amazing, and you're prone to probably eat double the quantity anyway compared to something like kale and enjoy it and digest it easier. So let's take that into account. Let's look into the next one. We're looking at spinach. I don't actually have the spinach. Spinach is pretty light and fluffy, so it's actually going to be a little bit more volume than the kale there. So if we're comparing the same amount of calories of iceberg to spinach, 100 calories of spinach for me can actually give me 42% of my total nutrient needs. So that is over double the nutrient density of the iceberg lettuce. But again, it's not always about more is better. And really, I have more taste for iceberg. I could enjoy eating more iceberg, and I'd be more prone to eating iceberg more often than spinach. With the oxalate content too, I generally recommend rotating spinach in and out a little more, whereas something like iceberg or romaine or butterleaf or even kale or arugula or bok choy or napa cabbage, I would eat with more frequency than spinach anyhow. But spinach is a definite nutritional powerhouse with 4 times the iron of iceberg. But again, that's no slouch for iron, that's no slouch for any of the nutrition in the iceberg. So let's really take into account and remember again that greens are the most nutrient dense foods per calorie on the planet. They're like crazy nutrient dense. So we're comparing something to the absolute most nutritional dense foods on the planet, and it's still generally coming darn close, and at the worst just under half the total nutrition per calorie. So this is still a nutritional powerhouse. But what happens if we compare it to other foods that aren't greens? So if we compare it to cucumbers, for example, for cucumbers, we need 100 calories, we need 664 grams. So very similar to the 711 here. But when we're looking at how much nutrition we get out of it, well, in my case, I'd actually only be getting 14% of my nutrient needs met. And I've never heard anyone say, oh, just don't worry about the cucumber, it's not worth your time, it's not nutritious enough. We know cucumbers are nutritious, we know they're great, we know they're water rich, but this is even more water rich, really great quality water and more nutritious per calorie. How about tomatoes? I mean, vegan to my head to my toes. I love tomatoes, I eat tons of tomatoes. I think they're incredibly nutritious, really delicious. They're a favorite of many raw foodists and a classic accompaniment to any salad or salad dressing. Well, to get the same amount of calories from tomatoes, we need to be eating 553 grams. So that's about 2.5 tomatoes this size to get the same amount, which is a fairly similar size, but you can tell these are a little bit dense. But when we look at the nutrition per calorie, getting the same amount of calories, you only get 16% of your nutrient needs met with the same 100 calories. So you might be more prone to eat more calories from tomatoes than from the iceberg lettuce, because let's face it, these have much more robust flavor. And if you don't like tomatoes, you need to get the best quality you possibly can. Grow your own or go to a farmer's market and you'll be like, oh my God, heirloom tomatoes, early growth tomatoes. I love tomatoes, but I would never ever say, oh, don't worry about the tomatoes. They're not nutritionally dense enough, I hope this iceberg's starting to look better and better. All right, the next one is zucchini. And most people don't look at zucchini as a nutritional powerhouse, but it's a little bit more nutrient dense than the iceberg. So to get 100 calories of zucchini, you need 585 grams. And so that's just a little bit less than this. Make noodles, you can make koodles, cucumber noodles. A lot of people like to make those. I love to make those. Usually that's what I'm eating instead of salad, or often I'm eating that instead of salad if I'm not having greens and making zucchini noodles or cucumber noodles, right? But with that same amount of calories from zucchini, you're getting 21% of your nutrient needs met. So Again, it's pretty darn close. I really hope that this kind of paints a picture in defense of iceberg lettuce. It's an amazing green that is versatile, available year-round, generally inexpensive, really tasty, or at least very mild, so you can really taste your sauce if you put a sauce on top of it. And there's so many ways you can use it. I love this guy, and I just, it makes me sad seeing people give it a hard time. I hope that you don't give it a hard time. I hope you enjoy rotating greens in and out. When I go to a store and I see iceberg on special, I suck it up. I just went through like 15 heads and I loved it. Had it in so many different ways, and I hope you guys do too. So give me a comment below, let me know what you think. In the blog post, which you might be on right now, or you might click below to check out, I have the entire nutritional assays, all the foods I mentioned, so you can compare them. And again, you know what? Variety is the spice of life. Some of the different greens, some of the different foods are high in specific nutrients, so I'm not saying just eat iceberg for the rest of your life. I'm saying include it, enjoy it, if you enjoy it, and focus in on the greens you enjoy the most rather than the ones you think are the best for you. That way you're gonna eat more, you're gonna get more total nutrition, it's gonna digest better, and heck, you're gonna enjoy it a hell of a lot more. So I hope this really hits home. Hope this brings iceberg into your home. And as always, wishing you much peace, love, and seasonal fruit in iceberg.
In defense of iceberg. Come on guys, it's a damn good green. Ooh, don't forget to check out my raw recipes playlist in the top left, the video just for you in the top right, subscribe for more videos in the bottom right, and get your 3 free ebooks in the bottom left. Grab your free raw recipe app, available on iPhone and Android, with over 100 free raw recipes, common fruit and vegetable calorie breakdown, frickin' raw food combining chart, shopping cart function, and so much more.